Children, come back to online classes. Today we are going to see civics chapter electoral politics. Today's our topic. First topic is reserved constituencies. Our constitution entitles every citizen to elect his or her representative and to be elected as a representative also. The constitution makers, however, were worried that in an open electoral competition, certain weaker sections may not stand a good chance to get elected to the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies. They may not have the required resources, education, and contacts to contest and win elections against others. Those who were influential and resourceful may prevent them from winning elections. If that happens, our parliament and assemblies would be deprived of the voice of the significant section of our population. That would make our democracy less representative and less democratic. So, children, in this paragraph, the constitution makers were worried about the weaker sections who may not have required resources, education, etc. to and win the election and against others. So, if this happens, then the important section of our population can be deprived of these chances. So, the makers of our constitution thought of a special system of reserved constituencies for the weaker sections. Some constituencies are reserved for people who belong to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. In ASC reserved constituencies, only someone who belongs to the scheduled caste can stand for election. Similarly, only those belonging to the scheduled tribe can contest an election from a constituency reserved for ST. Currently in the Lok Sabha, 84 seats are reserved for the scheduled caste and 47 for the scheduled tribes. This number is in proportion to their share in the total population. Thus, the reserved seats for SC and ST do not take away the legitimate share of any other social group. This system of reservation was extended later to other weaker sections at the district and local level. So, in many states, seats in rural and urban areas, local bodies are now reserved for other backward classes, that is OBC as well. However, the proportion of seat reserves varies from state to state. Similarly, 1/3 of the seats are reserved in rural and urban local bodies for women candidates. Then come to voter list. Once the constituencies are decided, the next step is to decide who can and who cannot vote. This decision cannot be left to anyone till the last day. In a democratic elections, the list of those who are eligible to vote is prepared much before the election and given to everyone. This list is officially called the electoral roll and is commonly known as the voter list. This is an important step, for it is linked to the first condition of democratic election. Everyone should get an equal opportunity to choose representatives. Earlier we read about the principle of universal adult franchise. In practice, it means that everyone should have one vote and one vote should have equal value. No one should be denied the right to vote without a good reason. Different citizens differ from one another in many ways. Some are rich, some are poor, some are highly educated, some are not so educated or not educated at all. Some are kind, others are not so kind. but all of them are human beings with their own needs and views. That is why all of them deserve to have an equal say in decisions that affect them. That's why every adult above 18 years of age have a right to vote. In our country, all the citizens aged 18 years and above can vote in an election. Every citizen has the right to vote, regardless of his or her caste, religion, or gender. Some criminals and persons with unsound mind can be denied the right to vote, but only in rare situations. It is the responsibility of the government to get the names of all the eligible voters put on the voters list. As new persons attain voting age, names are added to the voter list. Names of those who move out of a place or those who are dead are deleted. A complete revision of the list takes place every 5 years, because every 5 years the election takes place, the list is revised. Those names are some names are added to the voter list, and those who have moved out and those who are dead, their names are deleted from the list. This is done to ensure that it remains up to date. In the last few years, a new system of election photo identity card (EPIC) has been introduced. EPIC, that is Election Photo Identity Card. The government had tried to give this card to every person on the voters list. The voters are required to carry this card with when they go out to vote, so that no one can vote for someone else. But the card is not yet compulsory for voting. For voting, the voters can show many other proofs of identity like the ration card or the driving license. Now, the nomination of candidates. We noted above that in a democratic elections, people should have a real choice. This happens only when there are almost no restriction on anyone to contest an election. So anybody can contest elections. This is what our system provides. Anyone who can be a voter can also become a candidate in elections. The only difference is that in order to be a candidate, the minimum age is 25 years, while it is only 18 years for being a voter. So to vote, you should attain 18 years, but to contest in order to become a candidate, the minimum age should be 25 years. There are some other restrictions on criminals, etc., but these apply in very extreme cases. Political parties nominate their candidates who get the party symbol and support. Party's nomination is often called party ticket. Every person who wishes to contest an election has to fill a nomination form and give some money as security deposit. Recently, a new system of declaration has been introduced on direction from the Supreme Court. Every candidate has to make a legal declaration giving full details of serious criminal cases pending against the candidate, details of the assets and liabilities of the candidates and his or her family. That means all the properties what the candidate is having, and the liabilities also. Educational qualification of the candidate. This information has to be made public. This provides an opportunity to the voters to make their decisions on the basis of the information provided by the candidates.